VLOGMAS day 13, and I like to do these little random rants about movies and music, and I kind of get a little bit nostalgic about it all. So the top movies that you probably never seen but you should see. Okay, so these are going to be the top 5 movies that I've determined that nearly everybody I know either hasn't seen them or hasn't heard of them, or it's very rare. And as time goes on, there's a lot of classic movies that people just don't know. So I'm going to go ahead and run down a list of movies that you definitely need to see. And of course, I'm going to put the cover to the video right up in this area over here. All right, so the first movie that you guys must see, Bloody Birthday. Now, this movie came out around 1981, so of course a lot of you younger people, of course, probably never seen this. But if you like a cult classic, you definitely have to see Bloody Birthday. Now, to give you a brief synopsis of this movie, it's basically these 3 kids that was born on the same day at the same time as an eclipse. Coincidentally, they all stayed in the same neighborhood and went to the same school. And they all had a thirst to kill people. They killed people for fun. These were 10-year-old kids, and that's just what they wanted to do. Not to get into too many details, you guys definitely should check out this movie. It really gives you a synopsis of camera work from back in the day, and also bad acting, bad child acting at that. But you definitely will find some familiar faces. The guy who played in Cujo, I believe his name is Billy Mang or Billy Jacoby. He played in Cujo. He also got his start in that movie, and also one of the ladies from Clueless got started in that movie. So you definitely want to check that out. Of course, I'll have all the links to these movies in the bottom in the description box. Number 2, my second most favorite movie that rarely anybody I know ever has heard of is Cornbread, Earl and Me. Now, this is a classic black film from back in early 70s, mid 70s, and it's actually one of the first roles that Lawrence Fishburne ever played in. Yes, Lawrence Fishburne. It seems like we've only seen him acting as a full-grown adult, but he actually was a kid actor too. The movie Cornbread, Earl and Me is basically a movie that I would say determines most of the stories you hear in a real neighborhood or a real street. It's basically a guy, his name was Cornbread, real popular in the neighborhood. He was going to be one of the first people in the neighborhood to go to college. He played basketball really good. He had a scholarship. And Earl, which was Lawrence Fishburne, and another kid literally looked up to this guy. They looked up to him. But one day, the police was searching for somebody that had raped some girl in the neighborhood. He was running home from basketball practice, and you know what happened after that. So you definitely want to go check out Cornbread, Earl and Me, because that is basically the backdrop to a lot of the black movies that came out in the 80s and 90s, and might sound a lot familiar to a lot of the news stories you might even hear on the news in 2017. Now, number 3. Number 3 is one of my favorite. I might say these are 5, 4, 3. Number 3. Number 3 is one of my favorites. Now, my favorite is Willow. Now, if you have not seen Willow, Willow is the reason why Lord of the Rings even exists. Willow is the reason why Narnia, even had an audience, is because their parents grew up on Willow. Now, Willow is one of the, basically in my opinion, one of the first epic films. It's actually one of the first films. If you guys ever seen The Leprechaun, do you know who I'm talking about? The guy who plays the Leprechaun, his name is Warwick Davis. He's one of the little people who's actually been playing in movies for a really long time, and Willow was actually one of his first roles. Now, this was an epic film about a baby that was born, and he was destined to take over this kingdom and kill this evil queen, and the evil queen knew about this baby's destiny, and you can assume what happened from there. They had to, protect the baby. He had to go on this adventure. Great epic film. You guys definitely need to see that one. And you could actually see Warwick when he was in his younger years. That movie came out around 1988, so you definitely want to check that out. And you can even point out some of the things in that movie where you would be like, oh, that's why they did this in Lord of the Rings, and that's why they did that in the Lord of the Rings, because it kind of pulls a lot of those recent movies that we've seen, pulled them together. Now, my next movie on my list of top 5, and these top 5 are in any like order, but you know, you can put them in any order you determine, but they are my top ones if you ask me. So next movie I'm going to mention is Hard Lessons. Now, a lot of people may not have heard of Hard Lessons, but you might know it more so as Hard Lessons more so as the George McKenna story. Now, this movie right here is a must-see. It is one of the films that Denzel Washington played in his younger years. I would say his 20s. If you are a Denzel Washington fan, then of course you've probably seen this movie. But if not, a lot of people don't know that this is the reason why Lean On Me exists. This movie is the reason why Dangerous Minds had an audience. Freedom Writers. It's that true story based on a African American man who was a principal of a very low, bad school in LA, and how he was able to overcome it, even though the children that went to that school, didn't have family support, were bad, the typical. But this movie was the reason why all those movies throughout the 90s were even able to exist, and it was because of Hard Lessons, also known as the George McKenna story. So again, another one, classic movie that you definitely need to check out. And I know a lot of people probably even haven't heard of this or even seen it. A lot of you guys may not even remember this movie. You really probably gonna have to Google this, but the Pagemaster. Now, the Pagemaster is the reason why the movie Enchanted, if you ever seen Disney's Enchanted, where there was half cartoon and half movie, that is the Pagemaster. So the Pagemaster was basically based on one of the movies Macaulay Culkin actually played in when he was younger, around the time that Home Alone was very popular. It was based upon this character played by Macaulay Culkin, that was basically a cowardly little kid, very shy, very scary. And one night he went to go hide into a library, trying to get away from some people. He hid in the library, and next thing you know, he got pulled into a wizardly world and pulled into a book, and then the movie turns into a cartoon. Everything from there becomes like this epic film, but he also eventually returns back to the real world. And even in 2017, it's something great that your kids would really, really enjoy. It really kind of give you that idea of the power of books and stories. So that one's definitely has to be in my list of top 5 movies that you probably never heard of or probably never seen, but you definitely should. Now, I gotta mention one movie, just one, gets an honorable mention, and that is Garbage Pail Kids. Now, if you don't know what Garbage Pail Kids is, of course you can Google it, but just to give you a rundown, Garbage Pail Kids is what Pokemon is to kids nowadays, is what Garbage Pail Kids was to kids in the 80s. They had trading cards. It was a movie, the weirdest movie ever. I'll put some links below for the honorable mention of Garbage Pail Kids so you can see some of those clips. There were actually these costumes, people in costumes running around on this movie set acting like these nasty kids. And one I always remember was Vomiting Valerie, or Valerie Vomit, like a kid that threw up, that farted, alley alligator. Like, they were just horrible kids, but somehow, some way, they always knew how to come together, stick together, and help this little boy that basically had no friends or no family that cared for him, but these Garbage Pail Kids was his friend. So you definitely want to check out my top 5 movies that you probably haven't heard of, but you should definitely see. Make sure you check out the links in the bottom, and make sure you like, subscribe, and comment below, and let me know if you've seen these movies and what are some other movies that you remember that it seems like none of your friends have ever seen. So I will be back again for Vlogmas Day 14 tomorrow with another video. Let me know what you think about this one, and I will see you guys later. I'm out. Don't forget, you can follow me on all social media. The links are in the info box. And thank you for watching.